What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I would like to welcome you all to another edition of Wayne's Perspective, where we operate in integrity, discipline, decency, and respect. All right, today's session number four, that is going to be another video with my political thoughts, but this time it's going to come in the form of a reaction video. And before I start, I want to give a shout out to these two ladies, Mrs. Reese Colbert and Miss Erica Savage. I want to give a shout out to them. For those of you who are familiar with the Roland Martin Unfiltered show, you'll usually see them on there quite often, especially Reese Colbert, who also has her own show on Sirius XM. So, man, shout out to those two ladies for this video that I'm about to share with y'all today. So, they're basically going to be talking about recent comments that Stephen A. Smith made regarding Donald Trump. And of course, I'm going to give my thoughts here because it's going to tie into that, his words, their thoughts, as well as the black support, the black political support, um, you know, regarding the Republicans and Donald Trump and all that. And now when I think about it, I might change this the title of this video. I might, but we'll see about that. And if I do change the video, I'm going to change it to black political support, but we'll see how it goes. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and get my screen shared. And again, fair use for this video, fair use. Reese Colbert and Erica Savage and their thoughts on Donald Trump, the Republicans, as well as Stephen A. Smith's comments regarding the New York trial. So let me go ahead and get my screen shared here, and we're going to take a look at this one. And I also want to preface this by saying that Mrs. Colbert, this sister can, she can do a lot of cussing, but it's okay. We're all grown here. So I definitely want to, preface that before I get started. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this in.
So Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith, the famous, renowned sports commentator, has been dipping and dabbing a lot more in politics these days. I've talked about the deliberate choices that people are making on who to platform.
My God.
You get called upon and you don't have the range or the capacity, but you still answer the call. That's you. That maybe you should decline. But at the same time, there's a system around that is platforming people intentionally, spreading certain sentiments that aren't really accurate to try to normalize it. That's institutional choice. Okay, so it's a combination. However, he answered the call talking about Trump. And this is what Stephen A. Smith, if we have the audio ready, had to say about Trump and his appeal to black people, some black people. Let's hear.
Okay, now before we get to that, I want to preface this by saying as well that he made his comments on Fox News, which is not no coincidence. So that's where he made the comments. Now, I also said this now, as you all know that, I'm pursuing a political career and things like that. And I have said that as I tell my story and as I've shared with you during my introduction to my channel, that the one thing that Trump did do for me is motivate me to pursue a political career. So as I tell my story, that's probably the only thing that I'm ever going to give him credit for, even though I do it very begrudgingly. That's the only thing I would give him credit for. And secondly, the only other thing that I would have in common with this guy is Sharpies. Okay, I do like the Sharpie pens, whether they come in the fine tip, whether they come in any other size. I do like Sharpies. So that's probably the only thing that I have in common with this guy. Other than that, I could probably draw a blank here, but let's continue because I'm going to be pausing it quite a bit here.
But I got to tell you something. As much as people may have been abhorred by Donald Trump's statement weeks ago, talking about how black folks, he's hearing that black folks find him relatable because what he's going through is similar to what black Americans have gone through. He wasn't lying.
Okay, now let me stop it right there. Okay, now, you see, it's real crazy to suggest that just because you're going through the legal proceedings, that somehow us as black people, we relate to that. So are you saying that even in the midst of what you're going through, so are you like trying to on the low say that we glorify criminal activity? Now let's keep it clear. Some people do. Okay, I'm not gonna, shy away from that. Some people do glorify it. Okay, I'm not one of them. These ladies are not. any of them, you know, any self-respecting person, you know, black, yes, but any self-respecting person is not going to glorify criminal activity. And in this case, regarding Trump, to even suggest that, okay, because I'm being held accountable for the stuff that I've done, you know, we as black people, we're going to gravitate towards that. You know, I mean, what are you saying here? What are you saying? You know, and there's nothing appealing about this. So just because you're being held accountable probably for the first time in your life, that's gonna make us support you. How are we gonna look at this and be like, oh my God, they're persecuting this man? Oh no, it's not even like that, man. And again, it's beyond laughable to even suggest that you're gonna get more black support because of what you're going through.
He was telling the truth. When you see the law enforcement, the court system, and everything else being exercised against him, it is something that black folks throughout this nation can relate to.
Oh my God, that is so not true. And I can't wait until we get to Reese's comments and Erica's comments. Now, Reese, she goes in and Erica comes with her thoughts as well, but he is so wrong on this one.
Some of our historic, iconic figures. We've seen that happen throughout society. So no matter what race, what ethnicity you may emanate from, we relate to you when you're suffering like that. Because
I don't think any of us relate to Donald Trump in any form, especially in a criminal form. But let's continue with this.
We know we have. And that's what he articulated.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Right, Reese.
Stephen
right.
A., what are you talking about? We can relate to that. How can black folks relate to a person who has conned his way throughout his entire life?
Hello.
Okay, multiple bankruptcies. His wealth is a fraud. Everything about his ass is a fraud. Okay. He conned his way into the fucking White House. He got in on a technicality because the Electoral College is how presidents are elected, despite the fact that he lost by 3 million votes. So he didn't even want a popular vote to get into the White House. He got his ass handed to him, mind you, in the re-election. He was impeached twice. One time for some quid pro quo. He wanted a quid pro quo with Ukraine to use against Joe Biden, to use against his political opponents.
Yep.
Then the second time was for an insurrection.
Yep.
Getting his crazy ass MAGA base up. So how can black folks relate to decades, 70-something-year-old man of fraud, criminal, degenerate behavior, taking down? He done got more white people indicted than any other white person I could think of in history. Because if you in Trump's orbit, how many co-defendants he have in Atlanta? He have one like 17, something like that.
Yeah, something.
A dozen. Then he had, Paul Manafort ass, Michael Flynn ass, George Papadopoulos. I'm going back to the Mueller shit. Okay, Michael Cohen ass did some jail time.
Yep.
He got co-defendants in his stealing classified documents, his personal valet, and I think a motherfucking janitor even got goddamn classified.
And pardon me. And how can we relate to any of that? If any of us did the same thing, we would get harsh punishments. We would be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. So how can we relate to such a thing? Let's continue.
My documents speak charges going on. How can black folks relate to a situation where you get to persistently, without consequence, build your wealth, build your power for decades, and ain't nobody on you? He just now, in the year of our Lord 2024, is being held accountable for the fact that his business shit was a fraud.
Right.
You got Marilyn Mosby. She got more heat for her motherfucking 401k, $10,000 out of her 401k. They raped goddamn Andrew Gillum over the coals because he got Hamilton tickets or whatever the hell they started to say he was doing. Luckily, he was acquitted. They don't let black folks get away with shit.
Period.
Okay, if they on your ass, if you black, So the whole idea that Black people can relate to somebody who's gotten away with all kind of shit, all kind of crimes, all kind of corruption for decades, and then the idea that Black people would see in this person, Donald Trump, being indicted, they would see that as the system being used against you. It's the system for once working the way the fuck y'all been saying it's supposed to work. But it seems like it only so-called work when it comes to locking our asses up. That's what we see.
Exactly.
Finally, a little bit, an ounce, an inch of parity in the way a white man is treated versus the way a Black man is treated or a Black woman is treated. Right. Mind you, he's got a gag order he's violating. He's been in contempt. Don't give a damn.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that any logical, sane Black person can identify, relate to Donald J. Trump, the twice impeached, 91-time felony count charged ex-president who lost the popular vote, 6 times bankrupt, lost 3 civil cases, defamation, found liable civilly of sexual assault, and for fraud on the Trump organization. That's just an abbreviated list. That's just the cliff notes. There's no motherfucking way that Black people can identify with that. And I don't like Black people being attached to somebody who has this laundry list because it perpetuates the idea of Black criminality, which is dangerous to our existence, which is why people feel empowered to shoot us 5 seconds into a motherfucking traffic stop because we're criminals.
These are facts here, straight facts.
So if anything, even if you might like Trump, okay, whatever, but let's not perpetuate that Black people relate to and engage in criminal behavior, and in particular, not in the scale, which we could never, that Donald J. Trump has. Let's not do that, because that's not just a political disinformation, misinformation. That's not just, oh, Stephen A. Smith, he's saying some stupid ass shit, or this person is saying stupid ass shit. That actually is no different than Sister Soldier moments that have happened, the welfare queen narratives, and all the other bullshit narratives that are used to debase and dehumanize us and serve as justification for the hostility that we're treated with, for the suspicion that we're met with, and for the disproportionate way that laws are applied to us. So be fucking responsible when you say stupid ass shit like Black people can relate to Donald Trump, the motherfucking criminal.
Right.
Right.
Erica, I got to hear your response.
I must say that
I told you Reese come with that verbal heat, boy. I tell you.
In addition to the Sean Hannity clip, to listen to his response on his own platform is quite disheartening, because what we talk about, what you've been talking about for years, Reese, what Clay, Joe Madison, Karen Hunter, all, Larry Favors have been talking about is for people to actually not paying attention to necessarily what people are spouting, but what's happening. And what's happening as you listen to his complete 18 and 19 minutes response is that he then goes into talking about when are people going to wake up, and that Black people have these concerns about the borders being flooded, illegal immigration negatively affecting Black people, and that xenophobia, homophobia, transphobia has become a bigger issue than racism in this country. This is as you get deeper. Yes, ma'am. This is when you get deeper into listening to him respond to what he did not believe was a correct response, that because, and I'm paraphrasing, that when Black folks aren't 100% in lockstep, then those people are called sellouts. So then he begins to stand and talk about these different issues that Black people have. And then he moves into talking about stopping with all of the woke stuff and why people aren't raising holy hell about the aforementioned talking points that are, Reese, as you and I and the astute listeners of this program know, are right wing.
And for the record, ladies and gentlemen, okay, I'm gonna let them continue with their saying, but I'm just gonna say this once, and I'll probably have to say it again in another video. But woke is mainly what the word is: being aware of what's going on and being aware of your surroundings, being aware of what's going on in your community, being aware of what's going on outside of your community, just being aware of what's going on. That's all that woke is. And we shouldn't even extend it past that. They just took one word and just took it way out of context. Excuse me. Just like they took CRT, critical race theory, out of context. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Talking point.
Exactly.
Which is why I am so glad that you took opportunity and took time, as you do, as so many other do, to lay to bear why these things are of utmost urgency, why it is important to be engaged, to be involved, to understand what's happening in your local community. Because when big booming voices like this, that has the attraction of specific demographics because of their interests, then they begin to sound like gospel themselves.
Yep.
Well, if he endorses Chris Christie, if he says Donald Trump is, or excuse me, as I call him, the son of a Klansman, I can't vote for that brother because I believe he's going to take the country into civil war, but you're calling him a brother. When this is the booming, louding, lording voice that says that absolutely, as a journalist, he can move in different lanes as he so well pleases. But to your point, Reese, each of us, Erica Savage, all of us included, we have to understand what our range is.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have to understand that. So to have this person as a talking head, where he's conflating a lot of issues, where he's yelling and screaming, and what he's yelling and screaming and what he's mimicking are right-wing talking points, that is cause for pause. It is cause for concern. And that is why it is equally important for each of us to be engaged, for each of us to talk to people that we know, because if we don't, these are the people that are going to be listened to.
Right.
And he has the wealth where there won't be the same effect as someone that's not making or can't afford to pay a cable bill to see him on primetime television.
Yep. Yeah. Hello. You laid it all the way out. And I'm so glad you brought all of those points up, because I've said this repeatedly. The so-called, first of all, there isn't this surge of Black support for Republicans. There just isn't. Okay. The data
really
has shown that that's a narrative. However, to the extent that there is an increased sympathies or identification with these right-wing talking points, it is not coincidental that these people woke up and had this. It is because of the relentless years-long disinformation, misinformation campaign that is targeting Black people, okay? And a lot of what they use to target Black people are things like racism, like xenophobia, like transphobia, and other issues. So you can't say, well, this is how all these Black people feel, without diagnosing why people have these sentiments. The reality is that Stephen A. Smith is going to be platformed 10 out of 10 times. Period. To say what he's saying. And people like you, I, Clay, Karen, Laree, how many times do you see us out there correcting the record about it? They don't want to hear that. They want the Stephen A. on there. And I can't even hate on him, because you know what? It's not really just you. It's the infrastructure of how our society is crafted right now that gives you an unearned, outsized voice. Now, I wouldn't say influence. Maybe you're tapping into some sentiments that are probably, it's an 100% number of people. I don't give him the credit of saying that he's influencing people one way or another. I still stand by. I think he is perpetuating harmful stereotypes, and that he should really reevaluate. The conversation we're not having about immigration is actually the conversation about how we were just talking about this on Roland's show on Thursday. In Louisiana, they're making moves to where you can be arrested over these immigration checks that they're doing. In Georgia, we talked about this as well. You don't have your papers, your ass can be arrested For
Come on.
not that you've committed any other crime other than I suspect I'm a cop and I suspect that you are not here in this country legally. How is that any different than
Y'all hearing this?
having to walk around with your papers? I know that they've been making the Northern Triangle immigrants the face of, oh, we need to crack down on this and the Mexican immigrants. But if you're paying attention, you'll notice more and more what I talk about. The
Right.
Haitian immigrants. Oh, now that they got the laws in place, now that they got y'all checked out, and yeah, well, at least the Republicans gonna do something about this immigration. Now that they got y'all under that pretext, now they're coming after the blacks.
Yep.
So that's the conversation that we're actually not having, that we should be having about immigration.
Absolutely.
But all right, we could go back and forth on this all day, but we got a lot of calls.
All right, man. That was a great video. So, like I said, shout out to Reese Colbert and Erica Savage for that. And by the way, I am going to change the name of this video. I think I am going to call it Black Political. It's a reaction video, but I want to end this video by saying again, those sisters were right on with everything that they said. And I'll tell you one thing. There's a lot of talk about, shills and people pandering, but I'm going to tell you something. Within recent months, if there's anybody who's shilling, if there's anybody who's pandering, it's the Republican Party. Because I'm gonna tell you something, these cats, it seems like they're chomping at the bit to get this black support. I'm telling you that right now. And it's like, at one point you want to disenfranchise people that look like me and Reese and Erica. You want to disenfranchise us from voting, or you want to make it harder for us to vote. But I'd be damned if you're not working overtime trying to get our support. I mean, it's not going to work with me, of course, and it's not going to work with the likes of Reese and Erica and everyone else that's on planet Earth. But like I said, they're doing everything that they can. And you want to talk about people shilling for the Democrats and the Democrats pandering? It's the Republicans that shilling and pandering, because look at what they're doing trying to get black support. And I'm not going to equate that to them somehow working hard to get it. No, they're only doing it for one reason and one reason only, and that's to get votes. Whereas, the Democrats, okay, yes, let me back up here. Okay. When it comes to black political support, okay, the Democrats, yes, even though I am a Democrat, I identify as a Democrat, okay, I would even say that, yes, as a party, the Democrats need to do more. The Republicans need to do more. Everyone needs to do more. It shouldn't be up to just one political party to just do something. It should be across the board thing. All parties should be doing something. So I get it. You support the Democrats, of course. Yes, you're going to want the party to do more, but it shouldn't be just up to the Democrats. It should be up to all lawmakers to do something for all of us, and I do believe that. And then it comes back to the voting issue. I think I jumped ahead a little bit, but it's okay. Then it comes to the voting issue. And like I said, in a later video, I am going to talk extensively about that, because that's one of the top 3 things that I am going to, be very supportive of when it comes to my tenure in government. And that is voting rights, not just for us, but for all Americans, So I want to make that clear. But then going back to the black political support, like I said, they're working overtime and just pretty much, being desperate to get this black support. And I mean, at the end of the day, who's shilling and who's pandering here? And one other thing that I'll say is that I don't want us to get in the habit of voting out of emotions. Now, again, if you support the Republicans, that's on you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you who you should and shouldn't vote for. I'm not going to do that. But at the same time, it's like, man, I almost lost my train of thought there. But it's like, when it comes to this, you have to know that when you got people that's on the opposite side of the aisle that's working this hard to get black support, how valuable our voting is. Our numbers are, and let me jump back again. Pardon me if I'm all over the place, but you don't want to get into the habit of this emotional voting. Okay, you feel as though the Democrats aren't doing enough. So then you're either going to sit out any election or you're going to vote for the Republicans in a way to stick it to the Democrats, or this is a way to show that you're mad. That's, that's, dare I say, an irresponsible way of voting, because what if you get the Republican in and the Republican doesn't do anything, or they do little to nothing? Then you're going to go back to the Democrats. So it shouldn't be this back and forth voting, or voting because they make me mad, or voting because they make me furious. On one end, I get it, but you don't want to have that sort of emotional voting. It's all about the issues, yes, but you don't want to go into it like that, because that's basically going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? A lack of stability in voting, for the lack of a better way to explain it. But I hope you all get what I'm saying. I mean, they're just doing any and everything to get this black support, And lastly, I'll say this, and let me bring Donald Trump into this. Okay. Now, okay, over the years, rappers have been at his hotel. So what? Over the years, rappers have shouted him out in their songs. So what? He's from New York, and he was on an episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and he commuted Lil Wayne's sentence. And does any of that mean anything? The fact that he did all that, does that mean that he rides with blacks? Or should I say rides with black people, the black community? None of that means anything. Now, everything when it comes to the promotion and his name and stuff like that, of course, yeah, he's going to gravitate towards celebrities for that reason. And then if it's something that's going to promote him more, of course he's going to be for that, but this doesn't have anything to do with him, all of a sudden, yeah, he down with us, he ride with us. Like, really, that's what we doing here? And I'm sure you all heard about what happened in Atlanta when he just happened to show up at a Chick-fil-A, and the black woman that was all over him, that wasn't a spontaneous moment. It was a planned moment, and if you haven't heard about that, do your research on that. It's out there. That was not no spontaneous, natural type feeling. It was staged. Come on now. We know better than that. We're smarter than that. And overall, our vote is so precious that, like I said, on one end, you got those who want to disenfranchise us as a community, to either make it hard for us to vote or for us to not vote at all. And then you got another side that's working overtime, trying to get our votes, just doing everything to get this black support. And I'm here to tell you, the Republicans, it's not working. We don't believe you. You need more people. And on that note, we're going to close this video. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think that, this is going to help the Republicans in the long run, or do you think it's going to hurt them? Do you think, there's some validity to what Stephen A. Smith said or not? I don't think there's any validity to anything he said. He's way off the mark here. But again, he's my brother and I love him. Bless his heart. But other than that, let me know what you think. Give this video a like, give it some comments, share it. And if you're ready to become part of Team Discipline, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care. And remember, the power of the mind is valuable.